The day after Dahlia's arrest, Celia returned to Holmes's office and was surprised to find both Holmes and John Watson there. John had returned early from his task. What caught Celia off guard was how John seemed unfazed by her disguise, and even seemed pleased to see her. Holmes pointed out the differences between John's appearance and Celia's, despite her supposed identity as his cousin. Realizing her disguise was busted, Celia apologized. Instead of getting angry, Holmes calmly waved it off with a smile. Celia introduced herself as Alice. Holmes admitted he had suspected her cousin's story was a sham from the start. One big clue was her habit of always carrying a camera, which isn't typical unless you're a journalist. There's an editorial office near Holmes's place, leading him to think Celia works there. Holmes had even read Alice's investigative articles, particularly one on money laundering, finding it intriguing. Holmes had instructed John to fetch a dog from the police department and return promptly. He allowed Alice to join them in investigating Ethan Bevel's death. Before they left for the Bevel Manor with the dog, Holmes asked Alice to read some relevant newspapers on his desk. They all covered accidents involving Ethan Bevel, which struck Holmes as suspicious. After nightfall, Alice, Holmes, and the dog arrived at the manor. Inspector Lestrade and the butler, Laverne, were already waiting in the exhibition hall. Roy Ramit had returned to Switzerland, and Clovis had gone to meet the secret buyer. Laverne led them to the so-called cursed painting on the second floor. However, from the moment they entered the manor, the dog that Watson had brought became increasingly agitated. Watson explained that it was a trained police dog, specifically used to detect toxic chemicals. Alice was momentarily lost in thought about this before she was startled by a sudden shout. An officer walking behind her had slipped and was about to fall down the stairs. Luckily, Holmes was right behind him, catching him just in time. The cause of the fall was quickly revealed: a loose wooden plank embedded in the stairs, designed to trip anyone who stepped on it. Holmes explained that this was no accident. The plank was deliberately set up, just as it had been when the culprit killed Ethan Bevel. It was the same type of plank used for packing artwork after sales. Even more telling, it carried a faint scent of lilac oil, the very substance Clovis used while painting. This revelation confirmed it. Clovis was the one who had murdered Bevel. Upon hearing Holmes's deduction, Inspector Lestrade immediately ordered the police to search for and arrest Clovis, but Holmes calmly stated that there was no need. The culprit would walk into their trap soon enough. He then handed Alice 2 pages from the gallery catalog. Both featured the same artwork, The Wrath of Cerberus. Yet, there was a critical difference. In one, the painting's 3 heads faced one direction, while in the other, they were turned differently. Holmes then removed the so-called cursed painting from the wall, revealing a hidden circular mechanism behind it. He explained that when Dahlia was arrested, she had been startled when Laverne mentioned that the painting looked different. She had expected to see the mark she had left with magic phosphorus, yet it was gone. Dahlia had believed the painting was truly cursed, able to erase its own markings. But in reality, there had never been just one painting. She simply hadn't realized the switch. Alice activated the circular mechanism. A hidden room was revealed, and standing at its center was a familiar figure, Clovis. Clovis was horrified as Holmes and the others entered the secret room. Inside, they found 3 identical paintings of the Wrath of Cerberus. It became clear that there had never been just one painting. One of them, seemingly the original, had been hidden in this room all along. It was a version with eyes that seemed to follow anyone who looked at it. Clovis attempted to flee, but his efforts were futile. Lestrade swiftly restrained him. Meanwhile, Alice noticed a drawer in the room with a similar circular mechanism. Using the same technique, she opened it, revealing hidden files. The documents contained 3 crucial agreements. 1. A contract between Bevel and Clovis, stating that they would sell the cursed painting. Once the profits met a certain threshold, Clovis would gain ownership of the remaining copies after Bevel's death. 2. Another agreement between Bevel and an unknown person, in which Bevel hired them to investigate the lineage of the Roman family, the original painter of the Wrath of Cerberus. If this person succeeded in locating Roman's descendants, they would be rewarded with one of the 5 copies of the painting. 3. Bevel's final will, nullifying his agreement with Clovis. Holmes explained that Bevel and Clovis had fabricated the legend of the cursed painting and the eerie manner to boost sales. In reality, Bevel had been secretly producing replicas of the painting in this very room, swapping them in and out to create the illusion that the artwork could change on its own. Dahlia, for example, had only believed the painting was cursed because she had unknowingly seen different versions of it. However, Clovis was more cunning than Bevel realized. Knowing he would inherit the replicas after Bevel's death, Clovis decided to speed up the process. His first attempt at murder was subtle. He decorated the secret room with wallpaper laced with arsenic green, the substance that caused allergic reaction on Bevel's autopsy report. This also explained why the police dog had been so agitated upon entering the manor. It had detected the presence of toxic chemicals. But Clovis soon discovered that Bevel had rewritten his will to cancel their agreement. Realizing he had to act quickly, Clovis began staging accidents to kill Bevel, many of which had been reported in the newspapers. Each attempt had failed. Finally, he devised a more direct plan. He lured Bevel into a meeting near the painting and positioned the loose wooden plank on the stairs, knowing Bevel would step on it. The lingering scent of lilac oil on the plank was proof of Clovis's involvement. This time, his plan succeeded. Bevel fell to his death. Clovis, now furious at being exposed, raged with the accusations, but it changed nothing. The case seemed to be coming to a close until Alice pointed out a troubling detail. There were only 4 paintings of the Wrath of Cerberus in the room. According to the agreements, there should have been 5. Holmes concluded that the missing painting had likely been taken by the mysterious person Bevel had hired, the one who had successfully found the Roman lineage. This revelation led Holmes to a deeper theory. Clovis's arsenic-laced wallpaper had worsened Bevel's health, accelerating his decline. When an old and sick man starts to believe his death is near, he often seeks redemption, and Bevel had something to atone for. The painter of the Wrath of Cerberus, a man named Roman, had been kidnapped and forced to create art for the Bevel family. Roman eventually took his own life. His wife died searching for him. His daughter vanished without a trace. Holmes suggested that Roman's daughter had not died. She had simply never been found. The mysterious person Bevel hired had helped him locate her descendants, and upon finding them, Bevel realized he had to make amends. This was why he nullified his contract with Clovis, something that ultimately cost him his life. Alice hesitated before asking if Bevel had truly found redemption in the end. Holmes simply replied that it was a question they'll never know the answer. Alice returned to her work as a journalist, and not long after the case, she received a crucial lead on the money laundering investigation she had been working on. John Watson was the one who sent her the files. Holmes had arranged for her to receive the information as a way of thanking her for her assistance. Along with the documents, Alice also received Laverne's family tree. It revealed a shocking truth. Laverne, the butler of Bevel Manor, had taken his surname from his father, but his mother's name was Isa Roman, an orphan. This meant that Laverne was a direct descendant of the Roman family. It now made sense why Bevel had left his entire fortune to Laverne. Perhaps, in his final days, he had truly sought redemption. Just as Alice thought the case was behind her, she caught wind of something troubling. A new replica of The Wrath of Cerberus was being sold on the black market. Her investigation uncovered the identity of the seller, none other than Professor Moriarty. And with that, the story came to a close. For those who missed it, you can replay the story in the game. If you enjoy detective and mystery stories, I highly recommend checking it out. It's an incredibly intriguing case. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching. This is your broadcaster, Silmina, signing out.